Today I'm going to show you a fine dining shrimp starter with Meyer lemon, fennel, and butter roasted shrimp. It's packed full of flavor, but more importantly, it's approachable. Let's get cooking. To make the preserved lemons, remove the stem end from the Meyer lemons and cut them into fours. Mix the lemons with 10% by weight of salt, then pack into a jar. I always do 4 lemons into a 16-ounce jar, which will submerge them in the brine. Cure on the countertop for 10 days or until tender. To make the preserved lemon puree, remove the lemons from the brine and clean them by running your knife from one end to the other. Then rotate and run your knife down again. We are removing all of the pith, which is extremely bitter. Place 60 grams of preserved lemon zest with 50 grams of water into a blender. When I was testing this recipe, I made it in the blender, but I didn't chop them up like I did here, which made the zest slosh around in the blender. Moral of the story, my blender had an easier time with the larger pieces of zest. I improvised and got out my stick blender. Once blended, add 15 grams creme fraiche. Unseasoned fermented dairy will bring down the saltiness. Once mixed, drizzle in 75 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil a little at a time. Be sure to fully emulsify before adding in more, or it could break. Once all the oil is in, add 5 grams of cold butter and pass through a fine mesh. This has to stay cold to stay emulsified. It will thicken in the fridge because of the butter and the oil. This will start to break if you keep it out at room temperature for too long. Segmenting citrus is fairly straightforward. Remove both ends, then follow the curve of the fruit to remove the peel and the pith. You will see lateral lines going down the Meyer lemon with the segments in the middle. Start on the right side of the segment and cut towards the middle. Then repeat on the left side of the segment, but this time we're going to use a scraping motion to pop the segment out. Squeeze the remaining juice out of the lemon to submerge the segments and prevent them from drying out. To make the preserved lemon vinaigrette, add 10 grams Meyer lemon juice with 2 grams Dijon and 5 grams preserved lemon hachée, which means finely chopped. Mix together and drizzle in 30 grams of extra virgin olive oil. Season with salt and white pepper. This is not a strong emulsion, so it can break, but will come back together easily. Fronds come in all different sizes. You have wispy ones, tiny ones, and the ones that I like are in the middle. Pick them and place them in a bowl with water. Think about what size you'd want to put in your mouth. Too large and they're unpleasant. Take the time to sort through them and place only the best in the water. This will make plating a lot easier. To make the Fennel Confit, use a mandolin to slice the stalks thin. Pick through the slices, take out any broken pieces, and hold the good ones to the side. To a small pot, add 50 grams per no. Once it comes to a boil, turn off the heat and flambe. Once the fire dies out, return to the heat and reduce to 1/4. Add in the shaved fennel stalks and barely submerge in extra virgin olive oil. Add a pinch of salt and simmer until tender, about 6 to 8 minutes. For the shaved fennel, quarter the bulb, remove the outer layer, and then trim up the root and shorten the fennel to around 1.5 inches. Fennel will be hard to cut on the plate, so think about what size you'd want to put in your mouth. Slice with the root end down and as thin as you can while keeping the piece whole. Save the fennel trim for stock, specifically vegetable or shellfish. Place into a bowl of water and store in the fridge. There are multiple ways to clean shrimp. The fastest way is to use a pair of scissors to cut down the back of the shrimp. Remove the head, shell, rinse, devein, and use the pair of scissors to trim up the top of the shrimp. For a more refined look, first take off the head. Use your index finger to go down the legs from the head to the tail. Once the legs are removed, it is easy to peel off the shell. Once you get to the tail, wiggle out each fin to keep the tail meat on. We are going to cut the tail meat off later. I like the challenge of trying to keep the shrimp whole. Use tweezers to devein by poking a tiny hole on top and pulling out the vein. I like to go in the middle, then down at the tail end to ensure I get all of it out. If you want to keep the head on, clean the exact same way as the previous method, but don't remove the head. Trim the long antennas off and give them a rinse. Be sure to save the shells and heads for shrimp butter or stock. Let me know if you'd like a video on either. Once all the shrimps are clean, season them on both sides with salt. Take a skewer and insert into the tail, gently squeezing the shrimp to keep them straight. For the shrimp crumble, place 30 grams of panko breadcrumbs into a mortar and pestle to make it a little smaller, but most importantly, to make it even. Add 4 shrimp heads to the pan with 20 grams of butter. As the shrimp heads cook, squeeze them to release the hepatopancreas, which will create a beautiful red color and is packed with amazing shrimp flavor. Once the heads are fully cooked, press them to get out as much shrimp butter as you can. Add in the crushed panko and mix. Cook on low heat to just barely toast the breadcrumbs. Once they are crunchy again, season with a pinch of Old Bay and some salt. Remove to a bowl to let them cool off. To roast the shrimp, place the tray with tiny cubes of butter on the shrimp, and if you want to cook it with the head on, place some butter inside the head. Place them on the top rack under the broiler on high. Cook the shrimp until the gray is gone. rotating as you go. All in, it should take 2 minutes or so to cook them. Just be careful not to overcook them. Shrimp can become quite rubbery. Remove from the tray and pull the skewers. Line the shrimp up and remove the tail and trim up the area behind the head. To plate, use a room temperature bowl. Set a large ring mold in the middle of the bowl. Place a tablespoon of preserved lemon puree into the middle and evenly spread with the back of a spoon. This puree adds amazing complexity to the dish with a little bit of bitterness and slight floral notes. Remove the ring mold and place the shrimp down, alternating the direction that they are facing. Remove the shaved fennel from the water and use your hands to shake off any excess water. Dress with a Meyer lemon vinaigrette and season with salt. Lay the pieces up on the shrimp, having each piece slightly different. The raw fennel provides a nice crisp element to the dish. Fennel and shellfish is such a great pairing. Place down the Meyer lemon segments. These add a nice burst of acidity, which is much needed with fish, especially shellfish. Next comes the confit. Place them sporadically throughout the dish. They stick well to the shrimp. Just be careful to remove as much oil as possible. Next, place the shrimp crumble. Place it in a straight line so that it looks like a river flowing through. Just be sure not to dump it all over the shrimp and fennel. If you're unable to get shrimp with the head on, you can make the crumble in the same way, minus the heads. Last, place the fennel fronds, being sure to shake off all excess water. This is a very simplistic dish with really only 3 flavors: shrimp, Meyer lemon, and fennel. But by cooking the ingredients in different preparations, you intensify the flavor, and everything complements and is in balance. If you enjoyed this video, you should watch one of these next.